Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley, USC heading on the road, playing Illinois in what's really the first national stage game that USC has played in 2025. And I've been very vocal that, look, I think we're sleeping on USC in 2025. I think a large reason why a lot of people are sleeping on USC is they just haven't watched this football team play. Well, this is an opportunity, 12 Eastern time kickoff on Fox for USC to show everybody just how good this football team can be. Then you look at Illinois and say, trying to bounce back from, there's no other way to put it, an embarrassing loss on the road against Indiana, where Illinois got their tail whipped in every single facet of the sport on Saturday night. Here's the kicker. I don't think a lot of people are going to be talking about this, but I think it's really important to address right off the bat. What team has the better line of scrimmage play? Like, if you were to ask the casual college football fan, USC's going on the road and playing Illinois, what team do you think has better line of scrimmage play? No, I think a lot of the casual college football fans would answer, oh, that's obviously Illinois. Like Brett Bielema coach team that was top 15 in the preseason heading into 2025. They're going to win the trenches. It's not true. At least it's not true in terms of the first four games that we've seen both of these teams play. Because you look at Illinois and say they are struggling to run the football. They are struggling to protect Luke Altmaier. And then you look at USC and say, this rushing attack has been elite to start 2025. They are averaging 7.1 yards per carry. That is fourth best in the country. They've been very good against the run, and they've been elite getting after the passer. When I look at this matchup, I think the assumption is that Illinois is going to win the lines of scrimmage. I don't think that assumption is very accurate heading into this matchup. A little bit different than a little bit different than I think many people expected, but that's where we are. If you watch these two teams play the first four games of the season, fired up to get into this one. A lot of really fun storylines to get into before we do. And as always, USC fans, Illinois fans, let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, this is where I want to start. I want to start with this Illinois offense that, look, there are some things to like about this Illinois offense. And it really does start with quarterback Luke Altmaier. As much as I have question marks about a lot of aspects in regards to Illinois, I don't have many question marks about Luke Altmaier. This kid's the truth. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the country. The question that I have heading into this game is there enough around him for Luke Altmaier to have success? One of the glaring problems that I've seen with Illinois so far in the season, they can't run the football. I mean, 2.9 yards per carry, that is 118th in the country. So when you can't run the football, you normally find yourself in a lot of second and third and long, obvious passing situations. Well, then you got to protect the quarterback. That is another struggle that Illinois had. 13.6% sack rate with Luke Altmaier dropping back. That is 132nd in the country. So we have an offensive line that is struggling to run the football. They are struggling to hold up in pass protection. And then you look at USC and say they're only allowing 3 yards per carry. That is 21st in the country, and they're sacking the quarterback 10.9% of the time. That is number 8 in the country. If USC can go on the road and stop the run on first and second down, force Illinois into these obvious passing situations, there have not been many programs and teams in the country that are better at getting after the quarterback than USC. So that is question number one is, hey, can Illinois stay on schedule and run the football? And if they can't, can they pass protect against the USC pass rush that we think is really damn good? Those are two things that I think massively favor USC in this football game. Now, the second conversation is the wide receivers. And I think this was a question mark for a lot of Illinois fans going into 2025 is, all right, Luke Altmaier is really good. We all know that. Is he going to have enough around him? I think Hank Beaty's a really good wide receiver. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm sold on the rest of the wide receiver room. Now, one of the more intriguing matchups that you will see in this game is that USC has moved one of their best defenders, Kamari Ramsey, from safety to that nickelback role. You're going to see a lot of Kamari Ramsey versus Illinois' best wide receiver, Hank Beatty. And I think the challenge for USC here is, can you take away Hank Beatty? It's very clear that when the moment's the biggest, and Illinois needs a play. The football is normally going to Hank Beatty. Can Kamari Ramsey deal with Hank Beatty? Can he take him out of this football game or at least mitigate the impact that he can have catching the football? That's another storyline that you're looking at. If I'm USC, what I'm most focused on and what's been a little bit of a problem for USC during the first 4 games, the explosive plays, specifically through the air. You've had a busted coverage in every single game that USC has played in to start 2025. Now, I'll say this: I would be stunned if the mental mistakes continue for USC, because I think this defensive coaching staff is really damn good. But if you're USC, you can't give up freebies, especially on the road, and especially against a team that has struggled to be efficient, right? You look at Illinois and say, can they go 12 plays, 75 yards, and go score a touchdown without taking a penalty, without taking a drive killing sack? I don't know, especially against this USC pass rush. If you're USC, you're making them do that. You don't want to give them that free 50-yard touchdown like USC has thrown in just about every single game they've played. If USC can limit the explosive plays and get after the quarterback like we've seen them do the first 4 games, I think USC has a chance to really deal with Luke Altmaier in this Illinois offense, because I just don't know if you have a ton of trust in this Illinois offensive line, especially on the right side. Like the left side of the offensive line, I think is solid for Illinois. The right side's kind of a disaster. And what makes USC so difficult is they're not a one-dimensional pass rush unit. There are a lot of teams that rely on one or two really good pass rushers. It's not USC. They have guys on both sides at the edge position that can get after it. They also have a lot of guys on the inside that have shown they can be really disruptive in the pass rush department as well. It's going to come from a lot of different ways. It's going to come from your off-ball linebacker, Eric Gentry, as well. Can Illinois deal with all these pass rush weapons that USC brings to the table? It starts with stopping the run on first and second down, getting Illinois into these obvious passing situations, and then can USC tee off and get after Luke Altmaier? Now you flip the sides and say, here's the biggest misconception that a lot of people have with USC. Number one, it's been really clean. This USC offense, there have not been many offenses in the country that have been more impressive through the first 4 weeks than what USC is trotting out there. What I love about USC, what makes me feel better about this football team in 2025 than I had in 2024, is how balanced they are on offense. They have the ability to go on the road and lean on the run game to allow them to win this football game. Then you look at Illinois and say, they just gave up over 300 rushing yards to Indiana last week. Can Illinois stop this USC ground attack? Because you're looking at USC and say, 7.1 yards per carry. That is number 4 in the country. Wayman Jordan is clearly one of the better running backs in the Big Ten. Eli Sanders ain't no slouch himself. And you're seeing Lincoln Riley really lean into it. I think the bigger question for USC was not, can USC run the football? Because they could run the football last year too. Lincoln Riley just did not lean on the run game. Lincoln Riley so far has showed that he is willing to lean into this run game. When you have a run game you can lean on and you're willing to lean on it going on the road, really big storyline. Then the second part is, can you get after an Illinois secondary that is really, really banged up, right? And Brett Bielema said it in the post-game press conference. We've never lost this many guys in the back end. It's kind of a funky situation that you're seeing Illinois go through. Well, shoot, this is not the team that you want to be beat up in the secondary, because I'm looking at these USC wide receivers, and even without Jacoby Lane Saturday night against Michigan State, USC was still getting open, and they were still grabbing explosive plays through the air. It's what you should love about USC. They're top 5 in the country in yards per carry. They're also top 5 in the country in yards per pass, averaging 11.9 yards per pass attempt. If you're Illinois, the biggest key in this game is that if Jacoby Lane does not play, can you take away Mekhi Lemon? That's easier said than done, because I think Mekhi Lemon's one of the best wide receivers in the country. But if you're Illinois, you're trying to make USC show that they got other pass catchers they can lean on. We'll see if Illinois can do that. Here's the other storyline is USC on the offensive line, which has been so impressive to start the 2025 year. I think a lot of USC fans that followed this football team closely, their biggest concern about USC was probably on the offensive line. They're only giving up a sack on 1.7% of dropbacks. That's top 15 in the country. Now, a question here is, can Elijah Page, your starting left tackle, a guy that I think is going to be an NFL draft pick, is Elijah Page healthy in this game? But here's the other storyline. I mean, Elijah Page went out against Michigan State. I thought USC's offensive line didn't really skip a beat. You got a really good edge rusher in Gabe Yakis from Illinois. If you can deal with Gabe, I think you can keep Jayden pretty clean. That's probably the priority for USC is, hey, keeping Jayden clean. He's been really good this year. We haven't seen him under a ton of pressure. I think the concern for USC fans are, if Illinois can get after Jayden, do we see Jayden revert back to what we saw in 2024 and turn the football over? If you're a USC fan, you feel pretty good because, one, you've kept Jayden pretty damn clean to start this year. You're not sure if Illinois can really get after you that much. But here's the second part. As much as we want to keep asking the question about Jayden and turning the football over, the matter is he just hasn't done it yet throughout 2025. He's been really clean when it comes to keeping out the ball out of harm's way. Getting into the pick here, USC 6.5-point favorites heading into this matchup on the road. I don't think a lot of people had this spread on their bingo card to start the year. I think the pick's pretty damn obvious. USC's covering this number. I got a lot of confidence in it too, because I look at it and say, Illinois, if you're telling me Illinois is not the better line of scrimmage team and USC's coming to town, you feel pretty good about USC winning this game. And if Illinois continues to struggle to run the football and they need to drop back and throw the football 30 plus times in this game, I don't see Illinois holding up in pass protection. They have not showed us they can, and they have one of the best pass rushing defenses in the country coming to town. I think USC is going to be able to score points. I think Illinois is going to have to take a lot of negative plays in this one. Give me USC covering the 6.5 on the road. And after this game, I think you'll see people start talking about USC in a little bit of a different light, so to speak. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.